Ambassador Deho sat at his desk on the human embassy station, typing his quarterly report with the same bored expression he wore every 3 months. The coffee beside him had gone cold hours ago, but he kept sipping it anyway. Outside his window, ships from dozens of alien worlds docked and departed from the massive Galactic Council station. He pulled up the pest control summary from all human colonies and started copying the numbers into his report. 17 species eliminated this quarter. Not bad, but not great either. Last quarter, they had managed 20-3. The door chimed and his assistant Kyung entered with a stack of papers. Sir, the final reports from the outer colonies just came in. The termite problem on New Busan was worse than expected. Deho nodded without looking up. Not bad. They had to fumigate 3 entire underground networks. Turns out the termites had built cities down there. Really complex stuff. Exterminators said it was like looking at tiny skyscrapers. Impressive little bugs, Deho muttered, adding the information to his report. Anything else? The ant situation on New Seoul is under control now, and the roach problem in the mining stations has been completely eliminated. Deho finished typing and sent the report to the council's administrative division. He stretched and looked at the clock. Still 2 hours until lunch. Maybe he could finish the trade reports before then. 3 floors down in the council's administrative division, Secretary Mira of the Zelthian Collective was processing routine paperwork. Her blue-scaled hands moved quickly across the datapad as she sorted through hundreds of reports from member species. The human quarterly report appeared on her screen. She had been processing these for years now. Humans were always very thorough with their paperwork, unlike some species who barely managed to file anything on time. She scanned through the usual sections: population growth, resource extraction, trade agreements. Then she reached the pest management section. 17 species eliminated. She entered the data into the system and moved on to the next report. The computer chimed softly. A small red warning appeared on her screen. Cross-reference alert in the biological database. Mira frowned. This was unusual. She rarely saw alerts on human reports. She clicked on the alert and waited as the system searched through millions of records. The results made her stomach drop. Species designation HT7749, commonly called termites by humans, matched with the database entry for the subterranean collective of Kepler-4 4-B. Status: sentient. Intelligence level: hive mind. Council contact. Attempts ongoing for 847 standard years. Myra's hands shook as she read further. The ants from New Seoul matched with the organized labor castes of the Formica system. The roaches were actually the resilient wanderers of the Outer Rim. She ran a full cross-reference on every species in the human pest control report. The results were horrifying. 15 of the 17 eliminated species were registered as sentient life forms. 3 had been under council protection. 2 were actually council members' distant cousins. Mira stood up so quickly her chair fell over. Other workers looked at her with concern. She barely noticed them as she rushed toward the elevator. Director Thane of the Xenobiological Ethics Division was enjoying a quiet afternoon when his office door burst open. Myra stumbled in, her usually perfect appearance disheveled. Director, we have a problem. A very big problem. Thane, a tall creature with 4 arms and silver skin, looked up from his reports. Secretary Myra, what has disturbed you so much? Dad. Humans, she gasped, still catching her breath. They're killing sentient species. Lots of them. And they're calling it pest control. Thane's 4 eyes widened. Explain. Mira placed her datapad on his desk. Their quarterly report. I ran the usual cross-references. 15 species they eliminated this quarter are registered as sentient. 3 are protected. 2 are related to current council members. Thane read the report carefully. Silver skin began to change color. a sign of extreme stress among his people. Are you certain about these cross-references? I ran them 3 times. The computer confirmed each match. Director, they eliminated these species completely. Total extinction. And they wrote about it like they were talking about cleaning their floors. Thane activated his communication system. Emergency council session. It's priority alpha. All senior staff to the main chamber immediately. Within an hour, the council's senior staff had gathered in the emergency session chamber. Representatives from 30 different species filled the room. Conversations creating a symphony of different languages and sounds. Director Thane stood at the center podium. The room fell silent. Fellow council members, we face an unprecedented situation. It appears that humanity has been systematically eliminating sentient species and reporting it as routine pest control. The chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Some species roared, others chittered, and a few made sounds that had no equivalent in human language. Counselor Vera, from the Peaceful Harmony Coalition, raised her tentacled arm. Surely there must be some mistake. Humans have been model citizens for 10 years. I thought so too, Thane replied. The evidence is clear. Secretary Mira, please present your findings. Mira stepped forward nervously. She had never addressed the full council before. Honored members, I processed the human quarterly report as usual. However, the biological cross-reference system flagged multiple matches between eliminated species in our sentient life database. She activated the holographic display. Images of the eliminated species appeared in the air. These are what humans call termites. We know them as the Subterranean Collective. They have been trying to establish communication with us for over 800 years. The image changed. These are human ants. We call them the organized labor castes. Built the crystal formations we admire in the Formica system. More images appeared. Each one showed a species that the council knew as intelligent life, but the humans had eliminated as pests. Counselor Jocks from the warrior clans slammed his fist on his desk. This is genocide. How many civilizations have they destroyed? Stone. Their past reports, Mira said quietly. Approximately 230 species in the past 5 years. The chamber fell into stunned silence. The number was beyond comprehension for most species present. Thane spoke again. We need to understand how this happened. Were the humans unaware these species were sentient? Unknown, Mira replied. Their methods are extremely efficient. They study each species, identify weaknesses, and eliminate them completely. No survivors. Counselor Yan, from the diplomatic corps, stood up. Perhaps we should speak with the human representative before. Do we make any decisions? Already arranged, Thane said. Ambassador Deho will join us tomorrow. However, I suggest we also review surveillance footage from human colonies. The main screen activated, showing recordings from human pest control operations. The council watched in horrified fascination as human exterminators moved through underground tunnels with military precision. They used advanced technology to eliminate entire populations of creatures that the council had been trying to communicate with for centuries. The humans worked with casual efficiency, joking with each other as they sealed tunnels and released deadly chemicals. They treated the elimination of entire civilizations like a routine maintenance job. When the footage ended, the chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Counselor Vera spoke. What kind of species treats genocide as routine work? The kind, Thane said slowly, that might be more dangerous than we ever imagined. As the council members filed out of the chamber, each lost in their own thoughts, none of them noticed the small maintenance drone recording everything from the ventilation system. The drone belonged to the humans. It's part of their standard embassy security. Tomorrow's meeting with Ambassador Deho would be very interesting indeed. Council investigator Yuna stepped off the transport ship onto the landing pad of New Gangwon Colony. The morning air smelled of fresh earth and something else she could not identify. Human colonies always had strange smells. Colony administrator Jin Woo was waiting for her with a bright smile. He was a middle-aged human with kind eyes and work-worn hands. "Welcome to New Gangwon, Investigator Yuna. I hope your trip was comfortable." "Thank you, Administrator Jin Woo. I appreciate you taking time for this inspection." "Not a problem at all. We are always happy to show off our work. If you'd like to see our agricultural sectors first, or go straight to the pest management facilities." Tina hesitated. It's a casual way he mentioned pest management made her skin crawl. "The pest management facilities, please." "Okay." They walked through the colony's main street. "Okay." Human children played in small parks, while adults tended to gardens and shops. Everything looked peaceful and normal. It was hard to believe that somewhere in this pleasant colony, entire species were being eliminated. "Here we are," Jin Woo said, stopping in front of a clean, white building. The sign read, "Biological Solutions Center. This is where we coordinate all our pest control operations." Inside, the building looked like any other office. Humans sat at desks, typing reports and talking on communication devices. The walls were covered with charts and diagrams showing different types of creatures. "A salmon." Jin Woo called to a woman reviewing data on a large screen. "Could you show our guest around?" "This is Council Investigator Yuna." Salmon turned around and smiled. She was young, maybe 30 human years, with short black hair and confident eyes. "Of course. Always happy to show someone our work. What would you like to see first?" "I would like to understand your methods," Yuna said carefully. "How do you identify and eliminate pest species?" "Easy question," Salmon said, walking toward a wall covered with specimen containers. "First, we study the target species. We need to understand their biology, behavior, and weaknesses. Then we develop a specific elimination plan." She picked up a container holding what looked like a small insect. "These are tunnel borers, Queen. They were eating through our foundation supports. Took us 3 weeks to map their entire network and identify their breeding cycles." "What happened to them?" "Complete elimination. We use targeted pheromone traps to gather them in specific locations. Then introduced an engineered virus that only affected their species. Very clean work. No impact on other organisms." Yuna felt sick. "How many were eliminated?" "About 40 million individuals across 12 underground cities. They had built quite an impressive civilization down there. Really complex tunnel systems with specialized chambers for different functions." "Cities," Yuna whispered. "Oh yes, very organized. They had areas for food storage, nurseries, even what looked like meeting chambers. Quite impressive for such small creatures." Somni moved to another container. "These are crop destroyers. They were eating our grain fields. Much simpler elimination. We just needed to interrupt their reproductive cycle and introduce a targeted fungal infection." "How many?" "Only about 15 million. They lived in large family groups, so once we eliminated the reproductive females, the rest died off naturally within a few weeks." Yuna gripped the edge of a desk to steady herself. "You ever try to communicate with these species first?" Sami looked confused. "Communicate? They are pests. Why would we communicate with them? Some species might be intelligent. Intelligence does not matter if they are destroying our colony. Smart pest is still a pest." Jinwoo joined them. "Everything all right, investigator?" "I need to understand something," Yuna said. "Do you realize that some of these species might be sentient? That they might have their own civilizations?" As Jinwoo and Salmon exchanged glances, "Investigator," Jinwoo said gently, "we come from Earth. On our home planet, we have been dealing with pest species for millions of years. We learned long ago that sometimes elimination is the only solution. But these might be intelligent beings." "Intelligence is not the issue," Salmon said. "The issue is survival. If a species threatens our colony, we eliminate the threat. It is that simple." She activated a holographic display showing a three-dimensional map of the colony. Red areas marked locations where pest species had been eliminated. Look at this. In the past year, we have eliminated 23 different species that were threatening our survival. The display zoomed in on different areas. Here, we eliminated a species that was poisoning our water supply. Here, another species that was attacking our livestock. Here, a species that was destroying our communication equipment. 8. Each elimination was planned carefully, Jinwoo added. We studied each species, identified the most efficient elimination method, and executed it with minimal impact on other organisms. You make it sound like a science, Yuna said. It is a science, Salmon replied. Pest elimination is one of humanity's oldest and most developed sciences. We have been perfecting these methods for thousands of years. She led them to another room filled with equipment. This is our field gear. We can eliminate species using biological agents, environmental manipulation, or direct intervention. Yuna looked at the tools. They appeared more advanced than anything the Council military used. How effective are these methods? 100%, Salman said with pride. When we decide to eliminate a species, we eliminate it completely. No survivors, no chance of reestablishment. What if you make a mistake? We do not make mistakes. We study each target carefully before taking action. Jinwoo picked up a data pad. Would you like to see our current project you're dealing with? A species that has been interfering with our mining operations. The pad showed images of crystalline creatures living in underground caverns. Okay, they were beautiful, with complex geometric patterns covering their bodies. Okay, these are blocking access to important mineral deposits, Salman explained. Reproduce quickly and are very territorial. We have developed a plan to eliminate them using sonic disruption combined with chemical agents. How many are there? Approximately 800,000 individuals across 47 different cavern systems. Should take about 2 weeks to eliminate them all. Yuna stared at the images. The creatures looked intelligent. Their cavern systems showed signs of organization and planning. Have you tried negotiating with them? Negotiate, Salman laughed. They are pests. You do not negotiate with pests. You eliminate them, but they might be sentient. Sentient or not, they are in our way. Kinwoo placed a hand on Yuna's shoulder. Investigator, I understand this might be difficult for your species to accept. The humans have survived by being practical. We identify threats and eliminate them. It is how we have survived on dozens of worlds. How many species have you eliminated across all human colonies? Approximately 300 in the past 5 years, Salman said, checking her datapad. We keep detailed records of every elimination. It's very important for understanding patterns and improving our methods. 300 entire species. And we are very proud of our efficiency. Okay? Other species spend years trying to control single pest problems. We solve them in weeks. Yuna felt dizzy. I need to sit down. Jinwoo guided her to a chair. Are you all right? You look pale. I am fine. Just processing information. Do you like to see our training facilities? Salman asked. We are always training new exterminators. Very important work. Maybe later, Yuna said weakly. Of course. How about we visit the agricultural sectors? You can see the results of our pest control work. Beautiful fields. No pest damage. They walked outside toward the farm areas. Jinwoo pointed to vast fields of crops growing in perfect rows. See how healthy everything looks. No pest damage anywhere. Our elimination programs have created ideal growing conditions. Where did the eliminated species used to live? Everywhere, Salman said. Underground, in the trees, in the water, in the soil. They are gone now, so our crops can grow without interference. Yuna looked across the fields. They were beautiful, but she could not stop thinking about the hundreds of species that have been eliminated to create this perfect agricultural paradise. Are you satisfied with our methods? Jingwu asked. I need to write my report, Yuna said. Of course, we will provide you with complete documentation of all our elimination procedures. We are very proud of our work. As they walked back to the colony center, Yuna realized she was seeing humanity in a completely new way. They were not evil or cruel. They were simply efficient beyond anything the Council had ever imagined. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for that kind of efficiency. The emergency council session was the largest gathering in 50 years. Representatives from every member species filled the massive chamber. There, hummed with nervous energy, as creatures of all shapes and sizes whispered among themselves. Secretary Mira stood at the central podium, her blue scales reflecting the chamber's lights. Her hands trembled slightly as she held her datapad. Honored council members, I present the findings from Investigator Yuna's field study of human pest control operations. The chamber fell silent. Even a species that could not understand spoken language had translation devices that would carry every word. The investigation confirms our worst fears, Mira continued. Humans have developed the most efficient species elimination system in known galactic history. They do not see this as genocide. They see it as maintenance. She activated the holographic. Display images from new Gangwon colony appeared in the air above the chamber. These are the results of human pest control. Perfect agricultural fields created by eliminating every competing species. Counselor Vex from the Gentle Harmony Coalition raised a tentacle. How many species have humans eliminated across all their colonies? Based on their own records, over 300 species in the past 5 years. They document every elimination with scientific precision. The chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Some species roared, others clicked, and a few made sounds that had no equivalent in any known language. Director Thane stood up, his silver skin dark with stress. Order. We must maintain order. When the chamber quieted, Counselor Ito from the warrior clan spoke. This is clear genocide. We must act immediately to stop these humans before they eliminate more civilizations. I agree, said Counselor Nara from the Peaceful Meditation Society. No species should have the power to eliminate others so easily. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. But then a new voice spoke up. Before we make any decisions, perhaps we should hear from the humans themselves. Everyone turned to look at the speaker. It was Counselor GM from the Diplomatic Corps, one of the few species that had maintained friendly relations with humanity. The humans have been honest about their activities, GM continued. They filed detailed reports every quarter. They hide nothing. Perhaps we should understand their perspective before we condemn them. What perspective justifies genocide? Counselor Ito demanded. That is what we need to discover. Director Thane nodded slowly. Counselor GM makes a valid point. We should hear from Ambassador Deho before we make any decisions. The main doors opened and Ambassador Deho entered the chamber. He looked calm and professional, carrying a simple briefcase. He walked to the center of the chamber and bowed respectfully. Honored council members, I understand you have questions about human pest control operations. Questions, Counselor. Ito stood up angrily. We have accusations. You have been committing genocide. Deho looked genuinely confused. Genocide. I do not understand. We eliminate pest species that threaten our colonies. This is standard practice. You eliminate sentient species, Director Thane said. Many of the creatures you call pests are actually intelligent civilizations. With respect, Director, intelligence is not the determining factor. The determining factor is whether a species threatens human survival. The chamber erupted again. Counselor Vex waved her tentacles frantically. You admit to eliminating intelligent species because they inconvenience you. I admit to eliminating species that threaten human colonies. They happen to be intelligent. That is unfortunate, but it does not change the necessity of elimination. How can you be so casual about this, Counselor? Nara demanded. Deho set down his briefcase and opened it. May I demonstrate something? He pulled out a small device and activated it. The holographic display showed a detailed analysis of 3 different council member worlds. Counselor Vex, your homeworld has been struggling with an invasive fungal species for 30 years. Your people have spent billions of credits trying to control it. You have lost 40% of your agricultural capacity. Counselor Vex's tentacles stopped moving. How do you know this? Public records. The fungal species is similar to one we eliminated on New Jeju colony last year. We could eliminate your fungal problem in 2 weeks. How? Standard protocol. We introduce engineered bacteria that consume the fungus, then eliminate the bacteria. Once the fungus is gone, very clean, very efficient. He turned to another section of the display. Counselor Nara, your meditation gardens have been invaded by a species of root-boring insects. Your people have been trying to remove them gently for 15 years without success. We do not believe in harming other life forms, Counselor Nara said stiffly, and that is admirable. But the insects are destroying your sacred spaces. We eliminated a similar species on New Daegu colony using targeted pheromone disruption. The insects simply stopped reproducing and died of old age. No violence, no pain. You would eliminate an entire species to save our gardens. Of course, that is what we do. Deho turned to the 3rd display. Counselor Ito, your warrior clans have been battling a species of aggressive predators for over a century. Thousands of your people have died in this conflict. Counselor Ito's feathers ruffled. It is a matter of honor. We do not surrender to beasts. The beasts are winning. Your population in the affected regions has dropped by 60%. We could eliminate the predator species in 1 month. How? We studied their behavior patterns, identified their gathering points, and used targeted biological agents. Complete elimination with minimal risk to your people. The chamber was quiet now. Every representative was thinking about their own worlds. Problems. Director Thane spoke carefully. Ambassador Deho, do you understand that many species in this chamber consider elimination morally wrong? I understand that many species have different moral frameworks. But I also understand that sometimes elimination is the only practical solution. What if we refuse to allow human pest control operations? That is your choice. What your problems will continue while you debate morality. At that moment, the chamber's communication system activated. An urgent message was being broadcast to all council members. Emergency message from the Farron system. Counselor Era requests immediate assistance. The crystal parasite infestation has reached critical levels. The Farron home world will become uninhabitable within 6 months if the parasites are not eliminated. The chamber fell silent. Every species in the council knew about the Farron crystal parasite problem. Atia had been ongoing for over 2 centuries. The council had sent their best scientists, their most advanced technology, and their most skilled diplomats. Nothing had worked. Counselor Era appeared on the communication screen. She was one of the insect-like Farron, with large, compound eyes and delicate wings. She looked exhausted and desperate. Honored council members, my people are dying. The crystal parasites have consumed 70% of our planet's core. We have tried everything the council has suggested. Nothing works. We need help, Director. Thane leaned forward. Counselor Era, we have discussed this problem many times. The council's best scientists are working on it. For 200 years, they have been working on it. My people will be extinct before they find a solution, Ambassador. Deho cleared his throat. Counselor Era, may I examine the data on your crystal parasite problem? Why would you want to examine it? she asked. Crystal parasites are a common problem on human worlds. We have eliminated similar species many times. The chamber erupted in whispers. Counselor Ara's compound eyes focused on Deho. You have dealt with crystal parasites before, many times. Standard elimination protocols apply. How long would it take? Assuming they are similar to the variants we have encountered, approximately 3 to 5 days for complete elimination. The chamber fell completely silent. A problem that had stumped the council's best minds for 2 centuries was 2 humans, a routine pest control job. Counselor Ara's voice was barely a whisper. Will you help us? Director Thane stood up quickly. Counselor Ara, we must discuss this further before making any decisions. Director, my people are dying. If the humans can help us, why would we refuse? Because accepting human help means accepting human methods. And what is wrong with human methods if they work? The question hung in the air. Every representative in the chamber was thinking about their own world's problems. Problems that had lasted decades or centuries. Problems that humans might solve. In days or weeks, Counselor Vex spoke first. Perhaps we should vote on allowing human assistance for the Farron crisis. I second that motion, said Counselor Nara. And I thirded, added Counselor Ito. Director Thane looked around the chamber. He could see the decision in their eyes. The council was about to cross a line they had never crossed before. Very well, he said. We'll vote on allowing human pest control assistance for the Farron system. All in favor. Tentacles, claws, wings, and appendages rose throughout the chamber. The vote was overwhelming. Motion carries, Director Thane announced. Ambassador Deho, you may provide assistance to the Farron system. Ambassador Deho bowed. I will contact our best exterminator immediately. As the council session ended, representatives filed out of the chamber quietly. They all knew they had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The transport ship carrying Doha and his team dropped out of hyperspace near the Farron home world. Through the viewports, the planet looked sick. What should have been a blue and green world was covered in spreading patches of gray crystal formations that glowed with an unhealthy light. Doha studied the planetary scans on his datapad while his team prepared their equipment. He was Earth's leading xenobiological exterminator, a man in his 50s with calm eyes and steady hands. He had solved pest problems on 30 different worlds, but this was his first council assignment. Sir, called Minho, his youngest teen. Member, the Farron representative is requesting permission to board. Let her come aboard. And remember, be respectful. These people have been fighting this problem for 2 centuries. Counselor Era entered the ship's main compartment carefully. Her insect-like body moved with the jerky motions of extreme exhaustion. Her compound eyes were dim, and her wings drooped with fatigue. Welcome to our world, humans. I am Counselor Era. Thank you for coming to help us. Doha bowed respectfully. Counselor Era, I am Doha, Senior Exterminator. These are my team members, Minho, Hannah, and Tyke. We are here to eliminate your crystal parasite problem. The council's scientists have been studying these parasites for 200 years. I say the creatures are unlike anything in the galactic database. Doha looked at his scans again. May I see the historical data on these parasites? Era activated a holographic display showing the crystal formations spreading across the planet's surface. They first appeared in our northern mining regions 2 centuries ago. Small crystals that seemed harmless, but they grow and spread, consuming everything in their path. What have you tried to eliminate them? Everything. Heat treatment, cold treatment, chemical agents, radiation, sonic disruption. The parasites adapt to every method within days. Biological agents. The council scientists tried introducing bacteria and viruses. The parasites consumed them and became stronger. Physical removal. We tried mining them out, but for every crystal we remove, 10 more appear. They reproduce faster than we can eliminate them. Doha nodded and made notes on his pad. How deep do they go? Our deepest scans show crystal formations extending to the planet's core. They are consuming the mineral deposits that keep our world stable. How much time do we have? Our geologists estimate 6 months before the structural damage becomes irreversible. After that, the planet will break apart. Toa closed his datapad and looked at his team. Standard crystal mite infestation. Category 4. It's probably the deep boring variant. Minho looked surprised. You have seen this before, sir? Similar cases on Europa, Titan, and 3 colonies in the Outer Rim. The deep boring crystal mites are stubborn, but they have a simple weakness. Counselor Ara's antennae twitched with hope. A weakness? What weakness? They reproduce using crystalline matrices that require specific mineral combinations. Change the mineral composition of their environment, and they cannot reproduce. Without reproduction, they die off naturally. The Council's scientists never mentioned this. The Council's scientists probably tried to study the parasites instead of simply eliminating them. We do not study pests. We eliminate them. Doha activated his own holographic display showing the ship's equipment bay. We brought everything we need. Mineral conversion, drones, environmental modification systems, and biological agents designed specifically for crystal-based life forms. How long will the elimination take? 3 days for preparation, 3 days for implementation. The parasites should be completely eliminated within 1 week. Kana's wings fluttered with disbelief. 1 week? Are you certain? Unless these parasites are significantly different from the variants we have encountered. Yes, 1 week. Hannah spoke up from her equipment station. I have completed the mineral analysis. The planet's core composition matches the Europa variant. Standard Protocol 12 should work perfectly. Excellent. Tyke, prepare the conversion drones. Start mixing the biological agents. Counselor Arrow watched the humans work with growing amazement. They moved with the calm efficiency of people who had done this many times before. There was no panic, no uncertainty, just professional competence. Ask what Protocol 12 involves, she said. 3-stage elimination, Doha explained while reviewing equipment lists. First, we use conversion drones to alter the mineral composition in the infected areas. This prevents new parasite reproduction. Second, we introduce engineered retroviruses that target the parasite's crystalline structure. Third, we use frequency bombardment to shatter any remaining crystal formations. Will this damage our planet? Minimal damage. We have refined these techniques over many years. The drones are precise, the viruses are targeted, and the frequency bombardment only affects crystal structures with a parasite-specific resonance pattern. What if something goes wrong? Nothing will go wrong. We have eliminated crystal mites on dozens of worlds. This is routine work. 3 days later, Doha's team had deployed their equipment across the planet's surface. Conversion drones moved through the crystal formations, altering the mineral composition of infected areas. The parasites immediately began showing signs of stress. Counselor Ara stood with Doha on an observation platform overlooking the largest crystal formation. The gray crystals that had been growing for 2 centuries were starting to crack and crumble. How is this possible? She whispered. The Council's best scientists said elimination was impossible. The Council's scientists were trying to preserve the parasites for study. We are trying to eliminate them. Very different approaches, but these parasites survived everything we tried. If you tried to fight them directly, we removed their ability to survive. Much more effective. On the 2nd day of implementation, Hannah released the engineered retroviruses into the planet's atmosphere. The viruses spread quickly, targeting the crystalline structures that formed the parasites' bodies. The viruses are working perfectly, she reported. Parasite reproduction has stopped completely. Existing parasites are beginning to break down. Excellent. Tyke. Begin the frequency bombardment. Across the planet, sonic generators activated, sending targeted sound waves through the crystal formations. The waves were tuned to the exact frequency that would shatter the parasites' crystalline structure while leaving natural minerals untouched. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Crystal formations that had resisted 2 centuries of elimination. Efforts began collapsing within hours. On the 3rd day, Minho reported the final results. Complete elimination achieved, sir. No living parasites detected anywhere on the planet. The mineral composition has returned to normal levels. Counselor Era stared at the reports with disbelief. Complete elimination. All of them. All of them. Doha confirmed. Your planet is safe. But how? How did you solve in 1 week what our best minds could not solve in 2 centuries? Different mindset. Your scientists wanted to understand the parasites. We wanted to eliminate them. Understanding is not necessary for elimination. Will they come back? No. We eliminated not just the parasites, but their ability to survive in this environment. Even if new parasites arrived from somewhere else, they could not establish a colony. Here, Counselor Era's wings began to flutter rapidly, a sign of joy among her people. You have saved our world, our entire species. We eliminated a pest problem. This is what we do. A week later, council scientists arrived to study the results. They found a planet completely free of crystal parasites for the first time in 2 centuries. The Farron people were already beginning to repair the damage and rebuild their civilization. Director Thane led the scientific team. He studied the reports with growing amazement. Incredible. Complete elimination with no environmental damage. How did they achieve this? They did not try to understand the problem, Counselor Era explained. They simply solved it. The scientific method requires careful study and analysis. The human method requires identification and elimination, much faster. Director Thane looked around the healthy planet. Everywhere he looked, he saw evidence of human efficiency. A problem that had stumped the council's best minds for 2 centuries had been solved in 1 week. Perhaps, he said quietly, the humans understand something about problem solving that we do not. Perhaps, Counselor Ara agreed. Or perhaps they simply do not waste time on problems that have simple solutions. As the council team prepared to leave, Director Thane made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. He activated his communication system and sent a message to the council headquarters. Request immediate meeting with Ambassador Deho. The council needs to discuss expanding human pest control services to other member worlds. The age of human efficiency was about to begin. 6 months after the Farron crisis, the Galactic Council Station looked different. A new wing had been added to accommodate the Terran Biological Solutions Department. The official name sounded better than Human Pest Control Division, though everyone knew what it really was. Investigator Yuna stood outside the department's main office, reading the nameplate on the door. She had been promoted to chief liaison between the council and human exterminators. It was not a job she had wanted, but someone had to do it. She knocked and entered. Ambassador Deho was sitting at his desk, reviewing requests from 17 different worlds. The pile of papers seemed to grow larger every day. Good morning, Yuna. How many new requests today? 23, she said, setting down a stack of files. 3 emergency cases, 12 standard pest problems, and 8 preventive consultations. Deho rubbed his forehead. We are going to need more exterminators. The council is concerned about expanding too quickly. Some members still have reservations about human methods. I understand their concerns, but problems do not wait for moral debates. Yuna sat down across from his desk. Speaking of moral debates, Director Thane wants to discuss the Zephyrian situation. What about it? The Zephyrians are requesting complete ecosystem modification. They want humans to eliminate 47 species and redesign their entire planetary food chain. Deho looked up from his papers. That is beyond pest control. That is terraforming. They do not see the difference. To them, any species they do not want is a pest. And what does the council think? The council is divided. Half think it is too extreme. Half think it is efficient resource management. Before Deho could respond, his communication system activated. Secretary Mira appeared on the screen, looking stressed as usual. Ambassador Deho, we have an emergency. The Corvan Empire is requesting immediate assistance with what they call a civilization-threatening pest outbreak. What kind of pest? Unknown. They refuse to provide details over standard communication channels. They insist on in-person consultation only. Deho stood up. Send our assessment team. Standard protocol. Sir, Mira said hesitantly, the Corvans are offering to pay triple the standard rate for immediate response. It's triple rate for unknown pests. Yuna looked suspicious. That suggests either a very dangerous problem or a very embarrassing one. Either way, we will handle it professionally. Myra, contact Doya's team. They have the most experience with unusual cases. 2 days later, Doya arrived at the Corvan homeworld with his full team. The planet looked normal from orbit, but the Corvan officials who met them seemed nervous and secretive. Welcome, human exterminators, said General Hyun, the Corvan military commander. We appreciate your rapid response. What exactly are we dealing with? Doha asked. Follow me. It is better if you see for yourself. They traveled to a heavily guarded military facility in the planet's northern continent. The building was surrounded by armed guards and detection equipment. Before we proceed, General Hyun said, you must understand that this information is classified at the highest levels. We understand. What is the pest problem? General Hyun led them into the facility's main laboratory. Inside, scientists worked frantically around a series of containment units. 3 months ago, our research teams discovered a new species in the deep ocean trenches. We brought samples to the surface for study. He activated a holographic display showing microscopic organisms. At first, they seemed harmless, simple, single-celled life forms. But then, they began to reproduce. The display showed the organisms multiplying at an incredible rate. Within days, they had consumed all the organic matter in their containment units. We tried to eliminate them, but they adapted to every method we used. How fast do they reproduce? Mino asked. They doubled their population every 6 hours, and they consume any organic material they encounter. Doha studied the display carefully. How many are there now? Approximately 4 billion individuals contained in our laboratory. But containment is failing. What happens if they escape? Our scientists estimate they could consume all organic life on our planet within 2 months. The room fell silent. Toa continued studying the data while his team ran calculations. These are not actually pests, he said finally. What do you mean? General Hyun asked. These are biological weapons. Someone engineered these organisms as a planetary sterilization system. Impossible. We found them in natural ocean trenches. You found them where someone wanted you to find them. The genetic structure is too perfect for natural evolution. Someone designed these creatures. Hannah looked up from her analysis. The reproduction rate and consumption patterns match the theoretical models for von Neumann biological weapons. I agree. This is military technology, not a natural pest outbreak. General? Hyun's face went pale. If these are weapons, then someone is planning to attack our world. Oh, or they are testing their weapons using your world as a laboratory. Can you eliminate them? Okay, yes, but not with standard pest control methods. This requires military-grade, biological warfare, countermeasures. you have such countermeasures? We have experience with biological weapons from the human-AI wars. Similar scenarios, similar solutions. Doha activated his own equipment and began running detailed scans. Tyke, prepare the nanophage protocols. Minho, start mixing the universal organic dissolvers. Hannah, set up the quantum sterilization fields. What are those things? General Heian asked. Weapons designed to eliminate biological weapons. We developed them during our wars with artificial intelligences that used biological warfare. You fought wars against artificial intelligences. Several. They tried to eliminate humanity using engineered organisms. We learned to fight back with engineered countermeasures. The elimination process took 12 hours. Doha's team deployed nanophages that consumed the engineered organisms faster than they could reproduce. They used organic dissolvers to break down any remaining biological material. Finally, they activated quantum sterilization fields that eliminated any trace of genetic material. Complete elimination achieved, Hannah reported. No viable organisms detected anywhere in the facility. General Heian stared at the empty containment units. How did you eliminate them so quickly? Heian scientists said elimination was impossible. Your scientists were trying to study biological weapons. We're trying to eliminate them. Very different approaches. But how did you know what to do? Experience. Humans have fought biological warfare campaigns for centuries. We understand how to eliminate engineered organisms. 3 weeks later, Eunice sat in Director Thane's office reviewing the Corvan incident report. The implications were troubling. So the organisms were definitely artificial weapons. Thane asked, according to human analysis. Yes. Someone is testing biological weapons using council member worlds. And only the humans could eliminate them. The humans eliminated them in 12 hours. Our best scientists said elimination was impossible. Director Thane leaned back in his chair. This changes everything. We're not just dealing with pest control anymore. We are dealing with biological warfare. The humans seem comfortable with both. That is what concerns me. What else are they comfortable with? Yuna did not have an answer. In 6 months, humanity had solved problems that had stumped the council for decades or centuries. But each solution revealed new questions about human capabilities. Director, there is something else you should know. What? The humans are training other species in their methods. They call it humanitarian pest management. Humanitarian. They are teaching limited elimination techniques to species with serious pest problems. Basic methods only, not military grade. Countermeasures. How many species are participating in this training? 47 so far, and the list is growing. Director Thane stood up and walked to his window, overlooking the council chambers. In 6 months, humans had become the galaxy's solution to impossible problems. But what happens when the galaxy becomes dependent on human solutions? I do not know, Yuna admitted. Neither do I, and that is what worries me. In the Terran Biological Solutions Department, Ambassador Deho was reading the latest crisis report. Another emergency, another impossible problem, another request for human assistance. He activated his communication system and sent a message to Earth. Request additional exterminator teams. Galaxy-wide deployment. Prepare for long-term operations. Response came back within hours. Teams en route. Earth Command understands. Welcome to the galaxy. Deho smiled and returned to his paperwork. For humans, eliminating impossible problems was just another day at the office for the rest of the galaxy. It was the beginning of a new age. Outside his window, ships from dozens of worlds waited in line for human assistance. Each ship carried a problem that seemed possible to solve. But humans had never been concerned with impossible problems. They simply eliminated them.